So out of all of 2020, the most common builds I've seen are 1, the Master Grade Barbatos, and 2, the Master Grade Kyrios. So that's what we have today. Piloted by Alleluia Haptism, one of the Gundam Meisters of Celestial Being, Gundam Kyrios takes to the skies as a Master Grade with little to be desired. Let's check it out. Alright, so here we have the full build, and the very first thing you'll notice is this orange pops out pretty well. It's not too saturated, not too light, but still enough to pop out in the middle of your collection. The only other orange kits that come to mind right now are actually just the Gundam Heavy Arms. So if you know any other ones, comment down below to let me know. That's the only one coming to mind right now, but I'm sure there's at least a few others. And alongside the orange on this kit, we do have the gray accents that we saw on the Master Grade Dynames. These look very good, contrasting with the orange on this kit, and they definitely give it a more mechanized feel as opposed to an action figure type feel. So overall, I really love the color accuracy on this kit. The build as a whole was really nice, not too difficult, but also still challenging enough to keep you interested. Pretty sure I ended up building this whole kit in about a day just because it was so addicting to keep moving on. And at the same time, it's pretty stable, pretty sturdy. I've had it in this pose with the shield up for a couple days now, and it doesn't look like it's drooped at all. Definitely a sturdy kit. Now in terms of panel lines, we get the same type of panel lines that we got on the Master Grade Dynames. There's a good satisfying amount of them, but at the same time, there's still enough room to do some custom panel lining if you wanted to customize it yourself. The proportions of this kit are pretty good. They seem very anime accurate, which is very nice to see considering this kit does have a transformation. And not just a transformation, probably the best transformation I've seen in a build so far. Not only is it a sturdy transformation, but it also doesn't parts form at all unless you count the shield, and it looks pretty freaking sick. But we'll go ahead and take a look at that transformation after we look at the articulation. Okay, so here we have the Kyrios. Overall looking pretty slim. Kyrios, you need some meat on your bones. Let's start off with the head. First things first, his little ponytail in the back does bend down a little bit. That is to make room for the transformation. At the head, we can manage a full 360-degree turn without anything breaking. This is how high up he can look. This is how far down he can look. As you can see right here, the neck joint does pop out a little bit to enable that sort of articulation. And right at the collars, we do have the antenna like we see on the Gundam Exia. We can move those up and down. Moving onto the chest, it does open a bit to show off that GN drive in the middle. I believe the Dynames has the same sort of mechanism. And on the bottom flap here, we do have the opening for the cockpit. And right there, we can see that Alleluia is sitting inside. Also with the chest, we do have the same sort of articulation that we get with the other 00 kits, where it does open up to allow a wider range for that shoulder to bend forward and backward. And moving onto the shoulder, we do get a full 360-degree rotation. It does bend upwards at 90 degrees. However, this isn't necessarily a true joint, meaning the arm doesn't connect at the chest. The arm connects on the shoulder armor, and the shoulder armor connects to the chest. On the back of the shoulder armor, we do have this orange flap right here that does rotate. It's on sort of a ball hinge, so it does have a little more wiggle room. Now, if we grab onto the shoulder armor, we can lift this arm up maybe about a little more than 45 degrees. Right above the elbow, we do get a full 360-degree rotation. Here is that nice full elbow bend. You can see right here, we do have the GN stream. And on the front of the forearm, we do have a slot to connect other accessories. I haven't tried putting in the GN sniper from the Dynames, but I'd assume it would slot in pretty well. Of course, we have the green window here. At the wrist, very similar to the Dynames, we get a full 360-degree rotation. We get some bending up and down at the same wrist joint, and on the hand itself, we do get some back and forward, and that's about it for the arms. Moving back to the chest, we do get a little bit of side to side. There we go, one side, and there we go, the other side. We have very little ab crunch compared to the Dynames. You don't really need any ab crunch for the transformation, but it still would be nice to see. We can rotate at the waist a little bit to the sides. If we were to move this back piece up a little bit, I'm sure we can get a full rotation. Nope, it's still limited to just about the same amount of rotation. All right, moving on to the waist, just like the Dynames, we don't have any side skirt armor, making it look a little bit empty here. However, we do get some nice long front skirt armor. There's also a tab right here on the middle piece that allows us to line up these front skirt armors when we're doing the transformation, and a similar thing happens on the back skirt. These can move pretty freely, but when we transform, we actually need to lock these in place by pushing them into this middle piece, and now it doesn't swing freely at all. Then when it's in the Gundam mode, we can easily pull it out and it has a little bit more articulation. Now these back skirt armor pieces are where the beam saber handles are going to be held. They easily flip out just like that. They're sort of on a peg joint, however, I don't think they are free to rotate. Now moving on to the legs, it does seem like we would be limited by these huge wing flaps. However, if you maneuver them correctly, we can still get pretty similar articulation to the Dynames. So we get about a 90-degree kick forward, a little bit more than a 90-degree kick backwards, and from the sides we do get a full split right down the middle. We just have to move that skirt armor. I don't know if you can see and hear that well, but the legs are on that sort of sliding mechanism that we see on master grades. This allows us to position the legs to swing in or out a little more depending on what kind of articulation we need. And here we have the knee at a full bend. Now moving on down to the ankles, we get a full 360-degree turn of the ankles. That's going to be needed for the transformation. Obviously we get a good toe point down. That's also going to be needed for the transformation. The front ankle armor does move up slightly, but it follows down with the toe as well. One weird part about this foot is when it's in Gundam mode, it does kind of have this large gap area here. I don't know if that's something that's visible in the anime, but it did seem a little bit weird to me. And while we're talking about articulation, here is the GN shield for the Gundam Kyrios. This is the base form. It has a tab right here that actually connects to the arm. Right here on the particle strip, you can see that there's actually 2 slots next to it. That's where this connector piece can fit in, and it holds it pretty sturdily. It's also able to rotate 360 degrees just in case you need to change the orientation of the shield when it's attached to the arm. And now to transform it, all we have to do is pull it out. Right here on the back, you can see there's actually a tab right here that you have to align when you want to put it back in. So we can pull it out, we can turn it 360 degrees. That's not all. This front end actually opens up. When it's closed, there's a tab right here that connects to the hole on this side. That helps align it and keep it closed when it's not being used. After we open up, we can actually bend these in as well to give it the more iconic claw-like look that we usually see Kyrios using this shield for. And not only that, we also get the blade that comes out of it. Unfortunately, this does not slide in and out. It's actually a parts formation. Now there's a hole right here on the hilt of the blade, but I don't think that actually connects to anything directly. You actually just have to slide it into this slot right here, and it stays pretty snugly. And now that we've got that in there, that's what the whole shield will look like when Kyrios is using it to attack. While we're looking here, we also have this point of articulation where the claw can bend upwards. However, it doesn't bend downwards, just upwards. And so to put it back, we just take the blade out, fold the claw bits up, and connect it on the front. Make sure the tab and this slot are aligned, and so that's it for the shield. Now moving on to extra parts, we do get 4 sets of hands. We have our closed grip hands. We have our beam saber grip hands. Here's what it looks like. We actually have to take it off. There's a slot on the hand that aligns with this slot on the beam saber handle, much like the MG Dynames. Put it back in the hand, and there we go. Pretty natural looking. Then we also get this trigger finger hand. This one works with the handle for the gun. This one works with the handle for the gun. This one's kind of weird. Initially, I thought I could just put the hand in and slide it back onto the handle. However, the trigger finger does kind of hit the guard right there. So I usually have to end up taking off the handle, putting the hand back on it, putting it back into the guard, and then attaching the whole thing back to the hand. So that's what it looks like right there. Still looks pretty natural, just kind of tedious to do. And of course we get some open hands. Now onto the weapons and accessories. We do actually get 2 of these handles. However, we only get 1 gun. So how this works is the handle just slots into the gun right here, and that's it. Now you can see right here that the scope is kind of depressed into the body of the rifle. This is actually supposed to pop up by pressing on the back here. It was a little tricky at first. My parts were a little too tight at first, but if you keep doing it, the parts actually get a little looser and it's a lot easier to pop out that scope. The other thing we can do with the handle is attach it to the missile pods. However, that's all there is to it. They don't open up, they don't really do anything. So pretty boring. Probably better to just keep this on the gun. And now we'll move on to the transformation. action, and while it can be done with any of the hands, I do recommend the closed grip hands just to make it look a little more subtle. And first things first, we are going to fold our antennas down. That includes the ponytail in the back. Next, we're going to take a look at this big old backpack thing. We're going to unclick them from each other. They're actually connected at a tab right here that connects to the front. And as we do that, we can slide this up and over that little mohawk. There's a little slot that it goes into, so it's kind of hard to do while looking at the camera. There we go. Next, we're going to turn the elbows inward, and we're going to need to pull the legs down to the lower part of the slide connector. At this point with the hands, we can turn them inwards and flip the wrists in. Next, we're going to move the shoulder armor up. Before we do that, there are some tabs here that we need to flip up, just like that. These tabs attach to the side of this top piece right there. Going to lift the arms up, but we can always just push those back down. Looks pretty ridiculous right now. It gets better, I promise. Next, we're going to take these back pieces and align them like so. That's more personal preference, but yeah. While we're here, let's go ahead and click in the back waist armor. There we go, so nice and snug. One thing to note while I'm here is this whole back piece is actually removable. This is how we get the action base connector on there. You can slide this on and off, and this connects on that long connector. Okay, so everything's looking aligned pretty well so far. Next thing we're gonna do is turn the legs outwards. This is gonna be done at the thigh joint. Now when doing this, the legs actually have a similar mechanism to the Wing Gundam, where the knee has to be pushed forward a little bit right here on this thigh and then bent inwards. And we're gonna go ahead and repeat that on the other leg. So now we get a little bit of bow-legged cowboy action. Next, we're gonna unclick these wing tabs just by pulling them out. Make sure not to pull too hard, you don't want to break it. And once they're pulled out, you can actually just slide it down and it clicks into place a little bit. Repeat that on this side, pull it out, slide it down, and click into place. Then for both of the feet, we are going to point the toes down and make sure that front foot armor follows suit. And we turn the whole foot, including the ankle armor, so that it's completely backwards. Now, one piece I forgot to include is this right here. This actually connects to either of the arms. This will go in that slot that we talked about earlier. And what this does is allow us to attach one of the weapons. So we can attach either the missile launcher if we want to, or we can even attach the gun. And lastly, all we need to do is flip up these antennas up here. The right one for me is a little wobbly, but there we have it. There is the fully transformed Kyrios. Now it does have some slimmer proportions right here that would probably look better if it was filled in somehow. One way we can combat that is with the shield. We can flip the connector around, attach it to either one of the arms. Then we open this slot just a little bit so it can slide over the wing. And there we have it with the shield attached. So that does fill in the space a little bit, especially from the side. It gives it a more presentable look. Now the other additional things we can do while it's in this jet mode, we can push on these tabs right here. That actually pushes out the thrusters. It's a similar mechanism to what we saw on the Dynames. And with the heels of the feet, we can flip out the orange armor parts. These are to simulate a form of landing gear. And there we have the full kit. So let's take some videos of it. Overall, very satisfying kit, very satisfying build, definitely can recommend. It really makes me excited for what Bandai has in store for the Gundam Virtue, and hopefully an Exia 2.0, please. And it comes in at Bandai's magic price point this year, just around $50 US. So that puts it in the same territory as the Dynames, the Barbatos, the RX-78-2 3.0. Even the Wing Zero Verka is coming out a little bit above that price point. But yeah, if you're a fan of 00, I highly recommend this kit. Definitely need to add it to your collection. Now, it wouldn't be a true review if I didn't talk about any negatives. Honestly, it's very hard to find some negatives with this kit. The articulation is on point, the color accuracy is on point, the transformation is on point. If I had to choose something bad about this kit, it would definitely be the weapons and accessories. The shield is nice, but doesn't really impress me at all. especially because the sword bit that comes out is a parts formation. The gun and the missile launchers aren't really that impressive. They don't really seem to do anything. So yeah, if I had to change one thing, definitely get it some better accessories. But since they're just accessories, they definitely don't affect the kit as a whole. I love this kit. I love what they did with the GN frame, and it gives me high hopes of what they can do with the GN frame. So that's my review, guys. Hope you liked it. Hope you learned something. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them down below and I'll be quick to answer them. My next Master Grade kits that I'm trying to review are the Master Grade Extreme Unicorn and the Master Grade Wing Zero Verka. I have them both on pre-order, and these pre-order shipping times are killing me. I'm trying to get these reviews out to you guys quicker, but I can't really change how fast I'm getting them. Maybe I just need to start pre-ordering things earlier. But yeah, if you're excited for those, go ahead, hit me with a subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Like this video if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, and hopefully you find some of my content already out there that you like. Anyways, guys, if you're trying to do a Blue Angels custom build and orange is your favorite color, go ahead, pick up this kit and start building.